So the other day I was browsing the internet and I was like, I don't need that, but I really want that, but I don't need that, but I really want that, but now I have it. It's a Westinghouse Electric, 1917, 107 years old, but it doesn't have a wire. So we got to put a wire on it first and see if we can get it working. So anyway, come along. Well, I got a little bit too excited and I forgot to turn the camera on, but here we go with 1, 2, 3 screws and the whole thing comes apart and take the top off of the bottom. But be real careful because there's a little switch here sticking out of that crack, and if you pull too hard without moving it out of the way, you're gonna break that thing. Now my switch was floppier than Grandma at the swimming pool, but I found this little nut, tightened it up, and Grandma was about 60 years younger pretty quick. Well, I managed to find some wires and a plug that would seem appropriate, so we're going to hook that up to these 2 terminals here, and we'll see if we can keep all the smoke in. Well, my model is a 164848G, and I'm pretty sure G stands for good because it's pretty good, all right. Because I don't know any other way you could get to be 107 years old and not be. Well, this fan's so old, it was made during the World War I. Or was it the Civil War? Well, I don't know, it's whichever one my grandpa was in. But did you know in 1917 you could still buy a Model T? And I'm talking brand new Model T. They were $500. This fan was $32.50. In today's money, that's over $700. But for good reason, because this thing's built like a tank, and I suppose if they made them today, they'd still cost a lot of money. But anyway, I've just about got the wire hooked up, and before I turn it on and let the 107-year-old smoke out, we better check it with the meter and make sure things aren't gonna go wrong. Low, 37 ohms. Medium, 35.2, and high, 32.4. Hey, there we go. That's pretty ideal. I don't think it's gonna blow up. That's off. Okay. Low, no, off. Low. Oh, that's not a good sign, is it? Medium. High. Okay, we have more problems. Well, the buzzing noise isn't really ideal, and it turns out those readings I got weren't quite right either, so... Wait a minute. Well, now I'm just confused, but anyway, we gotta check the resistance of this coil. Well, you just saw me disconnect the red and yellow wires from the speed coil because we want to check it independent from the starting winding. Oh, and I almost forgot. Don't forget to unplug this before you start working on it, but you'll probably only make that mistake once. Well, in my case, twice. But remember when you're wiring this thing up, the skinny one is hot and the big one is not. I mean, neutral. And neutral should go to the green terminal and hot should go to the switch terminal. When this fan was born, it didn't come with the ground plug, so we're just gonna do the right thing and leave that disconnected. Anyway, let's get back to checking those coils. 6 ohms from yellow to red on the speed winding, that's a good sign. 24 ohms on the start winding. Now we check the run winding, 30. That's good. Hey, everything works. Yeah, except it doesn't. 2.1, 3.2, and then the entire thing, 4.8. There we go. Well, I bet one of you guys already knows what's wrong with this fan right now, but just like the rest of you, I had no idea. But let's go over what we know so far. With the red and yellow wires disconnected, we got 6 ohms at the speed coil side. On the motor side, that's the start winding, and we got 24 ohms. The green and yellow wires to the motor are the main winding, and we got 30 ohms there. At the speed selector switch between low and medium, we got 2.1 ohms, and between medium and high, we got 3.2 ohms. And between low and high, we got 4.8 ohms, and that's just fine considering my meter's not very great. But I gotta warn you, there's a problem on here, and I know one of you guys already saw it and you're screaming at the screen saying, hey, that's not gonna work, but I didn't know it. I figured it was just all gummed up from sitting for way too long and it just needed a real good cleaning. So I'm gonna put it back together and we'll clean it up and we'll see what happens from there. Well, that same guy that's been screaming from his chair, he just sat straight up and said, I told you so, and 3 more of his friends said the same thing just now, but I still didn't know it. So let's go forward with cleaning this thing up, and they'll figure it out eventually. Alright, I'll shut it off. Dang. At this point, I think it's just running slow from 107 years of grime, so let's get the oil cup out, we'll clean it up and put some new oil in it, and we'll see what happens from there. Oh. It's a sticky, hard mess. I'm gonna try and soak it in some brake clean. I know they make new felts. I don't have one right now. Maybe I'll order one, but in the meantime, let's try and clean this one up. Plus that whole cavity here is just full of grunge and grime, and it's been a long time since this thing's done much. Renew with Westinghouse grease each season. I wonder when the last time somebody was in here. Well, you can see it. I was onto it already, and here's the moment I'm about to confirm what's really going on with this fan. It's running backwards! Well, that means we have a wiring issue somewhere still. Well, that's exactly it. We didn't know it at the time, but there's definitely still a problem on that wiring diagram, and we're about to uncover the real truth right here. Now, the only part of the wires we haven't yet touched is right up here where the wires connect from the motor down to the base, and I gotta undo this and see what's really going on inside. Well, what? You guys seeing this? I don't understand. Well, here it is in all its glory. Now, most of you are looking at this just as dazed and confused as I was. Like, what in the world is going on right here? But there's a few of you looking at that saying, I don't understand the problem. What are you talking about? Everything looks just fine. Well, here's about the moment I discovered what's really going on. Why? Oh. I bet they were colorblind. Well, back to what we were looking at a minute ago. Here's the real problem. If you couldn't see it, now you can, but we gotta fix this. It's never gonna work right like that. Well, on the original wiring diagram, the main winding and the start winding were reversed. So if we switch those around, everything is perfect. And Bob's your uncle. Except he's not mine. But I don't even know whose uncle he really is. But anyway, let's fix it and move on. Well, I decided to do this the safe way and just hook it up temporarily because I didn't really want to have to take it all apart again in case it didn't work. Well, let's find out. Hey, and it's going the right way. Let's try high. What do you know? And don't forget to unplug it first. Or second, in case you forgot to unplug it first.